Just not good to be an astronaut. That's all I'll say. It's not good to be an astronaut. So the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Denver Broncos. We'll have Joe Williams from Mile High Sports. He'll have an interview he had yesterday with Buddy talking the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning. Some interesting thoughts there. Originally, Joe Williams thought the Broncos should take Eric Dickerson and not John Elway.
Said he wanted the best player on the field.
And he thought Eric Dickerson was the best player.
Yes.
History has proved Eric Dickerson was a very good football player. Not real sure he was better than John Elway.
I always love Joe Williams. I told Buddy this. Joe Williams just always brings something witty and just blunt, and he knows that he's right, and I love that about him.
We'll have him on later today. Of course, we'll also have open or don't open.
See, I missed last week. I'm ready to be back.
Open or don't open was sort of weak last week, wasn't it, Austin?
Did we even play it last week?
Yeah, we did, but it was kind of weak. It was kind of weak. So, but right now, let's go out to find out what happened on the overnights. First, in high school sports, Josh LaSelva.
Well, so a couple buddies of mine, 20 or 40 of us, went to Claremont to watch the Forest soccer team play Vanguard.
Hold on. We're going to start a high school athletic update with a soccer game.
Listen, I thought JJ broke your back about soccer. You like soccer secretly. You just put up the front that you don't.
Okay, go ahead.
See? Called you out. All right, anyways. So they had to play in Claremont at Eastridge High School because Eastridge is hosting the district
Eastridge was
championship.
playing Forest?
Incorrect. Vanguard is playing Forest.
Whoa.
See, it's very confusing.
Vanguard and Forest drove to Claremont to play each other.
In subarctic temperatures, yes.
And why is this?
Because Eastridge is hosting the district championship, and the only reason they did not move it to Forest High School, since Forest is the #1 seed, is because they didn't want to take away fans from the Vanguard versus Forest basketball game being played that same night. Doesn't make any sense, because of course people want to watch the soccer team instead of the basketball team, but people don't want to drive. But needless to say, Forest prevailed on penalty kicks. They played the full game 0-0, then went to extra time 0-0, and then went to penalty kicks, and Forest won on the last penalty kick by Preston Tarantino. It was pretty magical. But speaking of the Forest versus Vanguard basketball
Josh,
game,
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I understand that you're part of the student section, and obviously in football games you have something to cheer about throughout the game. What do you do in a soccer game when you have a whole bomb squad of kids and it's 0-0 for 5 hours?
You pick fights with the parents from the opposing team. It's exactly what happened.
Do you cheer about yellow cards? Right?
Yes, you do cheer about yellow cards a lot.
In my 4 years of high school, I never went to a village's boys soccer game at all.
See, and I went to one soccer game in my whole high school career. And it's because Patty Cross said, "Hey, we're going to a soccer game tonight. You want to go?" And I was like, "It's freezing. Why would you go to a soccer game?" She says, "You can sit under the blanket with me."
Oh,
I was there. That was the only probative value I saw of the game of soccer in high school.
Cute girls in blankets, that's all.
Cute girls that said I could get under the blanket with them in the stands of a soccer game. Now, I was okay with that.
Yeah, I never had that.
Josh went with a bunch of dudes.
That's my question is,
no blankets, I take it.
Did you paint your bodies?
No. We got layers. No, we're good. But so Vanguard versus Forest basketball was another murder from last night. So earlier in the season, Vanguard beat Forest by 35. Last night, Forest actually did okay. They only lost by 14, so they cut the deficit in half. So that was good. But Vanguard, nevertheless, they knew they were the best team on the court. Played their bench most of the way through. So,
Josh, where do you rank Forest, Vanguard, North Marion in terms of boys basketball?
In boys basketball, Vanguard #1, North Marion 2, Forest 3. And I think Forest is probably 6th best in the county, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
I think Denellen is very good, and I do think Westport can outplay Forest tremendously.
Village is still the best team in the area, though. How did the Villages do last night?
The Villages won last night. They beat a really weak South Sumter team. They finished district play 8-0, but
Are they 22-0 now?
No, they're not. They lost to Providence High School, which is
they did
the
lose.
number 10 team in the state. They have probably the best backcourt in the country with point guard going to Duke, shooting guard going to Florida Gulf Coast. But the Villages lost their center, Ed Porter, indefinitely due to a shoulder injury. They also lost their 3-guard, Caleb Sanders, due to a twisted ankle. Impromptu times for injuries to come for a basketball team heading into the district
Playoffs are coming up, right?
Yeah, the Villages plays today at Trinity Catholic against Potter's House. Potter's House has 2 Division I. Yes. It's a high school. I don't know where Potter's House is at, but they have a couple D1 athletes and players.
I'd like to see the Villages versus Vanguard play. I think that'd be a great game.
Well, if you want to compare 2 teams, the Villages beat Leesburg by 8.
Vanguard lost to Leesburg this week.
Yes.
That's Coach Small's former team, and Coach Small was not happy about that at all.
Another guy from around this area, connections to this area, that had a big night last night. Former Florida Gator Chandler Parsons.
Yes.
Career high 34 points, 10 3-pointers.
He went off.
Wow.
In a loss to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah,
He said, it's really frustrating. At the end of the day, you want to win the game. No matter how good or bad you play, it's really irrelevant if you lose the game. 34 points, 10 3-pointers. Chandler Parsons coming into his own as a serious scorer in the NBA with the Houston Rockets, Austin.
Yeah, and it's not like he's playing on a team that's sorry. I mean, he's playing on a team with Dwight Howard, Jeremy Lin, and Chandler Parsons is holding his own, like you said.
Well, the other guy that's on there is James Harden.
Yeah,
plays on that basketball
James
team
Harden
as well.
Yeah, I for some reason forgot about it. But yeah, I mean, James Harden was one of the big, quote-unquote, big 3 out of OKC, went to Houston to start his own deal. And Houston's 29-16, 18-7. But I think their record doesn't show how good they could be.
Chandler Parsons, I thought this was a guy that would be he would be an adequate shooter in the NBA. He'd be a guy that would post up, just post at the 3-point line and maybe average 9 or 10 points a game.
Yeah.
He has far exceeded that.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people thought the same thing that you thought. I mean, he was kind of skinny coming out of college. He wasn't very defensively sound. Obviously, he could guard college guys, but nobody thought he could guard defensive guys. But he's definitely stepped up his defense in the NBA. And if you look at him, he's gotten bulkier. He's proved his handle, and he's a really
got rid of that moppy hair, shaved it all off.
Well, actually, that's a story. He shaved it off in helps of kind of, it was like one of those cancer stories where he makes friends with a cancer young guy, and he shaved his hair off because the guy lost his hair. So, but yeah, I like the shaved hair rather than all that moppy floppy stuff.
I'm sure you do. You used to have the big moppy floppy stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. Not quite like him, but mine was a little bit more curly.
You had like the Michael Jackson afro is what you had.
No, it wasn't an afro.
The ladies'
it was just
man.
curly hair.
Yeah, exactly.
The ladies'
like Leon, the ladies' man. Did you have some Cavassier?
Ladies' man.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, Jordan Spieth. Who's he? Wait till you hear what he did yesterday. You ought to start looking to notice that name, Jordan Spieth, because he's for real, folks. Plus, it's open or don't open. And Joe Williams coming up, and plus we'll get you set up for the Super Bowl. All that coming up on today's Saturday Sports Page, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. We're streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
Hey, it's Tom James. I agreed to join Buddy and the gang every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 o'clock to talk sports on the voice of Ocala. We call it Around the Water Cooler. 1 hour to solve all the problems in the world of sports. Little did I know just how opposite our opinions would be. How can a group of guys see the same thing so differently? Some days I wonder if it's just water in that water cooler. Join Buddy, Schmitty, JJ, Austin, and me, Tom James, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5. It's Around the Water Cooler on WOCA, The Source.
Hi, Carl Champley here. Join me every Saturday afternoon for DIY Live, your complete guide to getting that DIY project started and finished the right way.
And when you need the right product for that do-it-yourself project, visit the DIY Home Center outlet right here in Ocala, just 2 miles east of I-75 on Northwest 10th Street. From carpet to doors to real wood cabinets, visit the DIY Home Center outlet today and tune in to DIY Live.
That's DIY Live Saturdays right here on WOCA, The Source.
AA Lock, Dock and Security has moved to a brand new location and wants to personally invite you to the spectacular grand opening event on Friday, February 7th. Come by and see the very latest in lock and security technologies. WOCA will be there broadcasting live and giving away some station swag and some fantastic prizes from top-name brands like Stanley, Honeywell, Paxton Access, Aeromedico, Master Lock, and more. Plus, we're giving away not one, but 2 grand prizes. A home security system fully installed and monitored for a full year, and a business access control keyless entry system fully installed. There'll be hot dogs, hamburgers, drinks, and more, so bring a friend and come help us celebrate with food, fun, and prizes for the new location grand opening of AA Lock, Dock, and Security. It's all happening Friday, February 7th at the brand new location, 219 Northwest 10th Street, just a 10th mile east of 441. That's Friday, February 7th, AA Lock, Dock, and Security.
Don't get caught without your daily source of senior deals. Pick up your copy of the Senior Voice newspaper. It's your source for schedule and events tailored to seniors, with information you need, like a list of free events in the area. We even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company to you that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about them. For more information, call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223. And pick up your copy of the Senior's Voice at most any business up and down the 200 corridor.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Hi, I'm Angie Lewis. Let's talk every Tuesday afternoon on WOCA, the voice of Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
WWWWWOCA. Right here since 1957. We're WOCA, News Talk 1370.
We're back on the Saturday Sports page. Let's go right out to the phone lines to a living legend in the sports talk show world, all the way from his palatial castle in Umatilla. It's Umatilla Steve.
Hey, how's it going, Tom, man? Oh, you sound like you got it rocking and rolling in here. Oh, I'm down here. Yeah, man, I didn't do anything drastic. I know out there, you start losing to Georgia Southern there, you know, and in football. But I tell you, man, this Gator basketball's got me excited. I heard you talking about my man Chandler Parsons. A lot of guys thought he was just a throw-in there a few years ago out of high school. I think the guys, Dick Calasis, I think somebody signed him there, maybe a Memphis or something there. But I know he went overseas. The guards, you know, everybody thought Parsons was just kind of a throw-in there. Like how high school, I think, over toward Seminole County, you know it, Tom?
Well, you know, Chandler Parsons.
He looks like he's starting to make it out there with the Rockets, you know it there, Tom?
Well, I know you pay close attention to all the Gators that are in the NBA and the NFL, and Chandler Parsons seems to be the Gator that's making the most noise right now. Although, don't forget, David Lee's a pretty good basketball player.
Yeah, Noah, Van Hartford. Oh, I'm excited. They're going out today, man. We got those guys from Rocky Top, man. I tell you, it looks like the conference. I guess it's us or Kentucky, though. I tell you, getting excited about this Gator basketball team. I know that other school won the football over there, Tom. Maybe we could win the basketball deal there. I tell you, if we can keep everybody healthy, man. I think we got about 3 guys. Maybe if we can keep them. Of course, I've got Casey Hill there coming off the bench. So my guy, but Frazier, he can line it up from 3 there. And I tell you, Patrick Young, man, I know he doesn't do it every night, but when he's on, he's on. You know it there, Tom. You know it.
He certainly is. And they play Tennessee today. Let me ask you this, Steve. Now you've been listening to this show for a long time. What do you think? What do you think about these new guys? And I've had to get 2 guys in here to replace one guy in JJ.
Oh, they sound like they're party animals, man. Get out there with you guys, man. I tell you, they sound like they're hot bachelors there, aren't they, Tom? We know you're the party animal, you know it, man.
I have been known to go to a party or 3 in one night, Steve. I have been known to do that.
That JJ, Lord, he sounds like he's a woman's kind of guy. Has he got any leftovers available? You got my number, don't you, Tom?
I got your number. What I'll do, Steve, is I'll give you a number to JJ. Maybe he'll invite you up there to hang out with him for a weekend up there in Jacksonville at the college.
I'm looking forward to that Super Bowl, man. I can't go. I don't like man. Even though know, I don't know if a lot of people realize. I guess Percy Harvin's going to play, man. That guy, he's been injury or I don't know. That guy's been unlucky all the way back in high school there. I know he had some problems. And that Percy Harvin, man, if he could ever put it together, Tom, he could really be a star, you know what, man?
I'm with you, Steve. I can't pull for Denver. I got to pull for Seattle. 2 reasons. One, Percy Harvin's on Seattle, and I think that he helped us win some national championships. And 2, it's great to hate Florida State, better to hate Tennessee, and Peyton Manning went to Tennessee, so I can't ever pull for it.
Oh, you know it, man. I think he's good. I guess he got one. I think his brother's as good as he is, Tom. I tell you, I tell you. But I think Seattle's going to do it there, Tom. I know early for a prediction there, but I think Seattle's going to pull it off there. Well, love the show, man. Go Gators today, Tom. Stay out of trouble tonight, buddy.
All right, Steve. Have a good weekend. The ever famous. I mean, he's got a star on the Ocala Sports Talk Walk of Fame. That one right there.
I think he's the only guy that can call in on a break, and we just put him right on.
Oh yeah, Umatilla gets put on the radio right away. Umatilla went through a bad spot here about a year and a half ago, where he was really, really ill, and we thought that we may not have Steve very much longer, but he fought through. With the prayers of God and people around him, prayers to God from people around him, everything, Steve pulled through. And right here on a Saturday morning, Umatilla Steve. He said he's going to be in Gainesville today for the Tennessee game.
Yeah, good to have him.
The fact that he called us bachelors is, I could quit right now and be the happiest man alive.
Well, there you go, see? Umatilla Steve is a legend in the sports talk world. Speaking of a legend in the sports talk world, later this morning we'll have Buddy Martin on to talk about the Super Bowl, the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos, because Buddy spent quite a time in Denver. He understands that franchise a little better than most people around this area. Plus, we'll get Buddy's take on this Gators basketball team. I think, Austin, now you're a Gator fan. You're a big Gator basketball fan. I'm a North Carolina fan, so this year, my team's terrible. But I think this Gator basketball team, if they could ever get 8 or 9 guys healthy at one time, could play with Arizona no problem, the number 1 team in the country.
I think so, because I think we're starting to finally see all those guys come together. The past 2 games, Alabama and Georgia, we've finally seen guys come together. And you know what the big thing is? We're winning. I say we as in the Gators, but the Gators are winning close games on the road, which is something that they have struggled mightily in the past couple of years. They beat Alabama on the road. They beat Florida State at home. It was a close game. But I think that's the biggest thing. They're making free throws. They're making the big shots. Scotty Wilbekin's making big shots as a point guard down the stretch of games, and they're winning close games.
Let me ask you this, because I've always thought this, and I want to get your opinion. I've always thought that the most overrated ranking system in sports is a top 25 in college basketball.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody said, Arizona's the best team in the country, and Syracuse is the number 2 team in the country. I think there's about 10 or 12 teams that are interchangeable.
Absolutely, yeah. And because of the way that we have the March Madness tournament set up, the rankings really don't matter. It all matters on where you get placed in the tournament. Obviously, you don't want to have a terrible record and get placed as 15th or 16th or whatever, but the rankings really don't matter. And just because Arizona hasn't lost a game and they're number 1, that doesn't mean they're unbeatable and there's some team that's way out there. I think that Florida can compete with any team, Arizona, Syracuse, Wichita State, any of those guys.
I do too. It's funny you said Arizona, Syracuse, Wichita State. Which one of these is not like the other?
Wichita State.
The Shockers can play now.
Yes, they don't run their program. They are quote-unquote a mid-major. I was listening to something earlier this morning. They don't run their program like a mid-major. They don't look like a mid-major. But they've obviously grown their program because they're not household names. But they are something like 21-0 or 22-0 right now.
And then they make a good statement on why one and done is a bad rule.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're senior laden.
Oh, yeah. And teams like that have to be. You're not going to get freshmen that come into Wichita State and blow up the basketball scene.
No. But that's where – and I think that seniors are better equipped to go right into the – you get these one and dones. You get a special guy like LeBron who didn't even have to go to college.
Those are 1 in a million.
Kobe that didn't have to go to college.
KG.
Kevin Garnett didn't have to go to college. Dwight Howard didn't need to go to college. We've just named 4 guys that went straight out of the high school to the NBA. Okay? But what about the kid from Georgia? What was his name? Oh, that got drafted #1 overall by the Bullets and was terrible. Kwame Brown. Remember, he went right out of high school.
Yes.
Terrible. For every huge story of Kobe or LeBron, you got stories of guys that came right out of high school that were terrible. You got guys that came right out of 1 year in college. Think the #1 draft pick overall this year was a one and done, correct?
Anthony Bennett, yeah, came out of UNLV.
Right, Anthony Bennett. How's he doing?
Terrible.
He's
bad.
horrible.
Yeah, he's playing on a really not a really bad Cavaliers team, but he's not the best player on that team by far.
No, his
bad.
his numbers are single-digit numbers.
Yeah, they're the worst rookie numbers. The #1 pick, they're the worst numbers for a #1 pick in the past 10 years.
The way I look at this one and done rule, it's got to go away. You either need to do it like baseball and football, and you're not eligible for the draft till your 3rd year, till you finish your 3rd year eligibility, or you can go right out of high school in the NBA. People say, oh, but then they're ill prepared, and if the kid doesn't make it, well, sorry about his luck. He shouldn't have tried to go be a pro.
Yeah,
He shouldn't listen to his AAU coach, Butch, telling him that he's good enough to go. Because the AAU coach isn't really worried about whether he's good enough to go or not. The AAU coach is worried about how much money he's going to get for sealing the deal.
Yeah, well, I'll give you this example. Andrew Wiggins. Everybody thought coming into the season he was going to be some god at Kansas.
He didn't even need to go to Kansas. He was the next LeBron James.
Exactly. Now he gets into Kansas. And now the big name is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is overshadowing Andrew Wiggins. Nobody hears about Andrew Wiggins because he's finally playing competition that is equal to him. And people are realizing that.
Think about how much better the college game would be without the one and done rule.
And it would eventually translate into a better NBA game because you're not going to get weak young guys that are diluting the league.
No, because the weak young guys that come right out of high school, if there wasn't a one and done rule, and say you were able to go right out of high school. Somebody said, well, that wouldn't be good for college. Yes, it would. Because the guys that are going to college know they're going to be there for 4 years, at least 3 years, and they're going to play basketball. The guys that go right in the NBA, if they make it, they make it. If they don't make it, sorry about your luck.
Right.
But either way, it strengthens both games because, like you said, in the NBA, when you got a one and done and then you draft a kid #1 overall or something, you feel like you got to stick with him for a while. If he's a high school kid, you say, sorry about your luck.
Yeah.
Go sell rainbow vacuum cleaners door to door.
Yeah. I think that contributes to the mediocrity of the NBA because so many teams have so many mediocre players, and that's why some people like yourself can't watch the NBA until it actually gets to the time that you need to watch it.
The best time to watch the NBA is when the best players come to the forefront, and that's what's referred to commonly as playoffs.
Yeah.
The rest of it's unwatchable. But the college game with the one and dones has become, it's almost to the point where I pull for teams like Wichita State, George Mason, teams like that, just because they're full of seniors, and I applaud the guys that stayed the whole 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's getting to the point, like Kentucky. You haven't seen a good Kentucky's team that has.
Somebody says, wait a minute.
2 years.
They won the national championship 2 years ago.
Yes, but that was.
But that was a anomaly to have all those guys all at one time that were that good all at one time.
Yeah, and you got to remember, the name slips me, but they also had 2 seniors, or a junior and a senior, on that team that led those freshmen and kind of took them in.
Right.
And although they weren't Anthony Davis and Terrence Jones dunking and flying all over the place, they did things off the court and behind the scenes that kind of led that team and kind of helped those guys grow. But now you see Kentucky teams that are just freshmen, sophomores, maybe one junior, and they're struggling.
You know the one and done that comes to mind that proves to me one and dones are not a good thing? John Wall.
Yes.
John Wall went to Kentucky, was all-world at Kentucky, left, went to the Wizards, and now he's a quality basketball player. But his first 3 years in the league, John Wall was terrible.
I'll give you another name. Rivers' son.
Yeah, Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers' son.
What is it, Trey?
No, Austin Rivers.
Austin Rivers, yeah. Left too early from Duke.
Yeah. He was great at Duke. He was one of the best players that people thought if he stayed around he could have been one of the best players to come through Duke, but he left early, and now haven't heard his name in 2 years.
Rules need to be changed. That's all I'm saying. In my opinion, the rules should be changed. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Buddy Martin will join us talking Florida Gator basketball and getting us set up for the Denver-Seattle Super Bowl next on Saturday Sports Page, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, streaming live at WOCA.com. The Source.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
This is Austin Tavern reminding you to stay in contact with us at WOCA. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Voice of Ocala. Make sure to become a friend of our Facebook page and call us at 622-9622.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, the new old-fashioned bank. Let us introduce you to Ocus, a simple way to bring your business online. Through this relationship, your business can have a fully functioning website in less than 30 minutes. We will also provide you support with social media, sales tracking, e-commerce, and online scheduling, which is all optimized for mobile users. Ocus, now at Gateway Bank, Silver Springs Boulevard, Ocala. Come visit our technology center for your total small business solution. I'm Tom Ingram, and I'll see you there.
Hi, it's Lisa Midget, owner of the brand new Proper Tees Salon. It's a perfect time to freshen up your cut and color for the new year. And if you really want to change up your look, talk to us about Hotheads extensions for extra volume and length. How about a blowout for date night? Give us a call. Enjoy some me time while you relax in our newly renovated salon and check in on Facebook using our free Wi-Fi. We know you'll be happy with your new look. We guarantee it. Our style guarantee assures you that no matter what, you will love your hair or we will fix it for free. Call for your appointment today, 352-351-1771. We're located in downtown Ocala next to the Southside Deli. Tell us Buddy sent you for 20% off your first service visit. Now hiring licensed cosmetologists, nail techs, and front desk staff. Visit our website, thepropertees.com, for our online application. The Proper Tees Salon, timeless elegance meets classic sex.
Legally Yours, brought to you by Fuller & Fuller Attorneys at Law. On the air every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. with John Fuller, a board-certified civil trial lawyer for over 25 years. John welcomes your questions, from business to complex family matters to legal disputes. So tune in every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. for Legally Yours with John Fuller, right here on WOCA 1370 a.m. and 96.3 FM, The Source.
Putting the local back into radio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. WOCA News. Variety. Information. Now. Keep your arms and legs on the inside at all times.
1370 WOCA.
We're back on the Saturday Sports Page. Let's go right up to the phone lines and go to a guy who knows something about the Denver Broncos organization because he worked for the Denver Post for quite a while out there, and he knows something about Florida Gator basketball because he attended the University of Florida. He's Florida born and bred and has written a couple football books about Florida, so he knows about Florida athletics. Buddy Martin. Buddy, how are you on this Saturday morning?
Just in case you forgot, the name is Austin. Oh, wait a minute. That's his name.
Yeah.
Austin couldn't remember Austin? Come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
Couldn't remember his own name.
That was a mishap. Sorry.
Buddy, did you hear did you hear our legend that was on earlier, Umatilla Steve?
I heard Umatilla, yeah. I'm glad he's doing better. His enthusiasm is great. And, you know, it's a pretty big game today. And I'm waffling here about whether to go or not. You can see it so well on TV, you know. And yet, a friend of mine has invited us to go up there and, you know, and sit in the stands. And you know, I'm not great at that because after all those years of sitting in a press box, it's hard to sit in the stands. There are a lot of Ocala people who actually go there and sit in the same area. I mean, there's a ton of Ocala people that go to those games. I'd say 300 people maybe from Ocala.
Oh, I bet.
A lot of them go up there watching. You know, yeah, a lot of them go up there. So, yeah, it's how about Chandler Parsons? Let's show a little love. I mean, you mentioned it, and of course, you got to remember
he's from Steve. He's down there in Lake Mary, so Steve kind of claims him,
Right.
But what a terrific player that guy turned out to be, and not just a scorer. What's good about him is he's also an assist guy, and Austin, you appreciate this, is that he makes that whole Rockets team a lot better because he can do it. He can score 30, or he can score 8 and get and have 12 assists. So this guy's and Steve is right. Once Galathis got out of there and left and went to Europe, Chandler Parsons just blossomed. What a player he's become.
Well, last night he had 34 points, 3 10-pointers, blew up the second half. A legitimate NBA starter, Billy Donovan protege.
I think the NBA All-Star is what I'm thinking. So, I think he ought to be going to play the All-Star, which, of course, David Lee is doing. But anyway, and Bradley Beal's coming on pretty strong, too. So there's some good players. Billy's got some good players that Noah we know about. And Billy, I have to count it up someday, but I think Billy's got like 6 in the NBA right now, I believe. So
I think he could have even more if he could have convinced some of those guys like Calathis to stay around instead of jumping out and going overseas early.
Well, and Parsons did. You guys touched on it earlier with John Wall. But I'm looking at it like this. This team, Billy's got, here's why they're going to hold up. They have 4 starting seniors. Can you remember the last time anybody had 4 starting seniors that wasn't Duke?
Yes, I do. It was
Carolina one year.
No, it was George Mason the year they made the run to the Final Four.
Florida beat that team, by the way.
Yeah. But that's the last team I remember so senior-laden at the tip-off.
Yeah, and by the way, they just had their 100th win together. That's amazing.
Wow, I didn't realize that team had been this good.
Yeah, you talk about the great teams they've had, the new 2 national champions, and why did they have them? Because they all came back that one year. And,
right.
Tom, we talk about this on the show a lot about what you're willing to give. About your community. These kids that when they won with Noah and those guys, they gave up that big money for a year to stay together to win another championship. Once again, what are you willing to sacrifice to accomplish great things?
And that the thing I remember the most about those back-to-back national championships is the first year people were like, whoa, Florida won a national championship? The second year they came back, they had the bullseye squarely on their backs and were able to win a national championship.
Yeah, I asked Coach Ryan about that.
Yeah. Santa Fe's CF's doing that. CF today, 4 o'clock against Santa Fe. Tom James on the call right here on WOCA, buddy.
I love that. I'll be actually, one reason I want to stay here is I want to watch the game on TV, get a game, and I want to hear Tom James call on CF, who does an excellent job. But folks, if you're listening and you haven't heard Tom James, I'll be honest with you, he's way too good to be in this market. You know what I mean?
He really is.
Doing some stuff. Yeah, he does Gulf Coast stuff and whatever, but we're just really lucky to have a guy like Tom James in our community.
Well, buddy, we're going to play the interview you had with Joe Williams from Mile High Sports after we get off the phone with you. Set up this interview and how good this Denver franchise is historically.
Well, first, I want to tell you that when Austin called me, I was on the phone with Joe Williams.
Oh, so
I had to hang up on Joe, and he got real cranky. You know how he does. But the last thing I said, well, they're getting ready to play you again here in this market. He says, well, maybe I'll come on down there and we'll do some sports talk together. I said, come on, we got a room for you today.
Yeah.
So, but Joe's a long-time favorite. He ain't going anywhere, obviously, but he's very popular in Denver. And recently, by the way, the columnist there in Denver, who did the TV critics, called the best sports talk show guy in Denver, and there's like 4 shows there. So anyway, yeah, Joe and I talked about yesterday about the component of the people involved. Manning, you have to understand, as we talk about in this interview, how blessed they are to have a guy like Manning and having playing at this level after a guy had to rehab when he couldn't throw the ball across the room. And then we talked about John Elway and even Joe, who always is always cracked on John Elway for one reason or the other, and wanted to trade Elway for Dickerson a few years ago, a trade he'll never forget. And then Pat Bowen, who's the owner, 29 years, and has dementia. it's not talked about very much, who really put all his money out there, as Joe points out, willing to spend X $1 million over the cap and take a fine for it to be able to win a Super Bowl for Denver and for John Elway. And remember the famous scene when Pat Bowlen said, "This one's for John." Well, of course, we all anticipate now, hoping that maybe one day, that maybe this year they can win it, and that John Elway can turn around and say, "This one's for Pat." So there's a lot of feel-good stuff there. That's what we talked about mostly. This is what we did yesterday on the show, and so hope you enjoy it.
All right, Buddy Martin, thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday morning.
Got it, Joe.
That was Buddy Martin. Now, without further ado, let's go to that interview with Joe Williams from Mile High Sports.
Give me a rundown on Percy Harvin and the difference he might make in terms of the Bronco defense.
Well, the thing about him is, as we all know, they don't have, because he's been hurt, there's not really a book on him. You know, they can't go and watch a game film of 16 games this year and say, well, this is what they do with him in this situation, and this is what they like to do with him in that situation. There's no telling what they're going to do with him, where they're going to line him up. They could line him up in the backfield, put him in the slot where Denver is ill-prepared. They don't have anybody who can cover him in the slot. And Denver's best corner, Rogers Cromartie, he'll be on one side, but Chris Harris, they lost him to injury, and he's been a real revelation. And now they're mixing and matching, and Percy Harvin could be a difference maker on a lot of different levels, you know, depending on how they decide to use him. And Denver right now, they're in the dark as to exactly how they're going to use him.
And that's what coordinators hate. They got no track record, no film, and that's the thing about him. And you know that Russell Wilson's going to have to try to find Percy. Wilson struggled a bit. You know, he struggled a bit in the NFC Championship game. And if he takes those deep drops and has to make those throws against a good secondary, of course, it could be costly. So Percy Harvin will definitely be a factor in that game, I do believe. Joe, is Denver just gone crazy over Manning?
Yeah, they have. And by the way, the Denver defense is not like San Francisco's defense.
Understood.
It's not that fast, and it isn't that physical. They've improved, but up until the last two playoff games, they were like 32nd in the league in rushing, scoring, 26th in the league. They haven't been that good. They've played okay against New England, and they played all right against San Diego. But up until then, you know, I think they're vulnerable. As far as Peyton Manning is, people can't believe their good fortune. You know, Peyton's first choice was the Houston Texans, and they didn't want him. And you can see what's happened to them. Their whole staff got fired. They got married to the wrong quarterback, and they're all looking for jobs, and Peyton's going to the Super Bowl. And I guess you can't blame them down there because they didn't want to take the chance that Pat Bowlen did. You know, and Pat Bowlen, he was willing to write the check. Really a leap of faith because Peyton's coming off all those neck surgeries, and you know the rest is history now. The last 2 years, and he's been the man. And the city of Denver, I think now they really appreciate what they've got. You just don't see a player like this come along very often. He's a once in a lifetime player, really, and Denver. I think they're starting to appreciate how good they really have it because once he's gone, then it's back to the, in this case, somebody named Brock Osweiler.
Well, and in addition to that, starting to appreciate Pat Bowlen, 29 years as owner, and a guy that's put the money out there and got the championships. And I know Mark Hill had a column last week I happened to see, and I agree 100%. If they win the Super Bowl, it should be John Elway saying, this one's for Pat Bowlen.
Yeah, I agree, and, I think that's the way they'd like to send him out. He's not in the best of health. Pat isn't, and I don't know how many more go-arounds he's going to get with a chance to enjoy this. And if you're a Bronco fan, you're not only cheering for the team, but I think you're pulling for Pat Bowlen, who has been about as good an owner as you could ever want.
And even you, the pronounced Elway hater that you've been all these years, have to acknowledge that Elway has done an excellent job. Even though Gator fans hate him still for cutting Tim Tebow, still you have to give Elway some credit on that.
Well, he gets some. Peyton Manning chooses where he wants to go. And like I said, Houston turned him down. His doctor, Peyton's doctor, was here in Denver. And that played a big, big part in Peyton deciding to come here. Elway, yes, he's the president of team operations, but Pat Bowlen had to write the check. Houston had to say no. His doctor had to be here. And then, you know, I don't think Peyton worships at the feet of John Elway, to be honest with you. I think they struck a business arrangement, and John's in a good place. Who wouldn't be in a good place if you could land Peyton Manning? So if you want to give him credit, that's fine, because he'll take it.
Well, let me put it like this. Had the world listened to you, we'd have the president of the Broncos would be somebody else named Eric Dickerson.
The fastest man to get to 10,000 yards in the history of the National Football League.
Joe Williams, who once proposed that the Broncos trade John Elway before the Super Bowl wins for Eric Dickerson. Oh, my goodness. We'll forget about that one. We'll forgive you.
Well, no, we're not going to forget about anything, and I don't take a back seat to that either, because Eric Dickerson, every time he played, he was the best player on the field. Mm-hmm. And there are many games Elway played where he was not the best player on the field, and I'll always trade the best player on the field for the guy who ain't the best player on the field, and I'd do it today.
Texas logic. I always love it. We got about a minute, Joe. I want to get this in. It's too early for it, but the Heisman odds are out today. Jameis Winston, the favorite, 2-1. Mariota is 7-2. Braxton Miller, 4-1. T.J. Yeldon, 5-1. And Petty from Baylor, 6-1. You like any of those choices right now?
Well, they all look, they're slam dunks. I'm just wondering who is not listed there. That way, who will maybe come out of the weeds, you know, to challenge those front runners, because everybody knows who those guys are.
Yeah, you're right. And who do we know? Who knew about Jameis Winston this time last year? Nobody, right?
Well, you knew.
Well, no, I didn't. I didn't know until the summertime, until Jimbo Fisher started talking about him. But
what we didn't know was that he was going to win the Heisman Trophy,
of course,
and that Florida State would go undefeated. We didn't know those things.
Even the wise visionary, the oracle like you out in Denver, couldn't see that one coming. So there you go.
Well, I'd heard about him like the rest of you had, but if you never see the guy play, there's no track record on him.
Exactly.
You know?
Jacob Coker wasn't that bad of a competition. Now he's off packing to Alabama. So there you go. Joe, we're out of time, my friend. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Get your Super Bowl prediction, and we'll talk a little more football. Like we always enjoy talking with you, Joe.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
Whenever something big happens in Ocala and Marion County, Buddy Martin is there on the case.
John Gruden, ESPN Monday Night Football, today spoke to the group here at the Gateway Bank. I'm going to play a little game of just word association with you. One, Ocala.
Ocala is just a great community. It's a great group of people.
John Gruden coaching again.
One of these days I'll be back.
So remember, always check out Buddy Martin on the Voice of Ocala on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
We're not just the horse capital of the world. Ocala, Marion County is now the hoops capital, too, thanks to the 2013 national champion CF Patriots basketball team. The McDonald Allstate Agency brings you the reigning kings of the court all season long right here on WOCA. Coach Tim Ryan and the Patriots look to defend their national crown and get set to host the state tournament this coming spring. The McDonald Allstate Agency brings you CF basketball only on WOCA, The Source.
Whenever something big happens in Ocala and Marion County, Buddy Martin is there on the case.
Head coach of the Florida Gator basketball team, Coach Billy Donovan. How are you feeling right now about this team in 2013 and 2014?
You know, but I like these kids a lot. They've worked very hard. It's a good group. The most challenging part for me as been a coach has been the inconsistency of players in practice.
So remember, always check out Buddy Martin on the Voice of Ocala on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
This is Austin Tavern reminding you to stay in contact with us at WOCA. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Voice of Ocala. Make sure to become a friend of our Facebook page and call us at 622-9622.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
WOCA,
Back on the Saturday Sports page, I almost said Voice of Ocala. Back on the Saturday Sports page, Jordan Spieth, yesterday at the Farmers Insurance Classic, 9 birdies, no bogeys, shot 63, 1 stroke in the lead at 10 under par. Rookie of the Year last year, playing alongside the Player of the Year last year, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, 9 shots back.
Tom Schmitz, Mr. Golf, is Jordan Spieth the real deal?
Jordan Spieth is a real deal, and a good kid too.
Really?
Jordan Spieth can play. He's got a total golf game. He can play.
Gotcha.
So, remember, he's won the U.S. Amateur twice. The only other person that this was the first time multiple amateur winners have been paired together, him and Tiger Woods. So, Jordan Spieth, 9 under yesterday, no bogeys. That's the thing. And he was on the North Course, the harder of the 2 courses at Torrey Pines. He shot 9 under with no bogeys. That means he birdied 50% of the holes.
And didn't bogey any of them.
And didn't bogey any of them. It's pretty good. All right, let's go. Time to play open or don't open. Okay?
We need some fanfare music with this.
First one, U.S. Bobsled Federation defends Lolo Jones' selection to the Olympic team. Open or don't open?
Don't open.
Open that.
Yeah, I'm opening that too. NBC denied any involvement in Lolo Jones' selection to the U.S. bobsled team as a way to sell a ready-made star for the upcoming Olympics. U.S. Bobsled and Skeleton Federation CEO Darren Steele backed NBC's claims on Thursday night, telling the Associated Press that Jones absolutely earned her spot on the team. Steele said the selection committee relied only on data and results in making the pick, not star power. You believe that?
Yeah.
No. She's
I
a
think
star.
the name Lolo Jones
She's a star.
helped her get on the team.
Right.
Because it's going to give somebody – I'm going to watch bobsled and women's bobsled now to see how good Lolo Jones pushes because I know who Lolo Jones is.
I don't know anybody else.
I'm not watching female bobsled for any other reason. Next one, Dennis Rodman. Did he break the law in North Korea?
Open that.
Open up.
I'm opening that as well. Dennis Rodman may have overspent on birthday gifts for North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, at least according to United States law. The U.S. Treasury Department is investigating Rodman for potentially violating a law that forbids the flow of luxury items into North Korea. Rodman visited Kim Jong-un in Pyongyang earlier this month for the dictator's 31st birthday and brought along some gifts, including expensive alcohol such as Rodman's own badass vodka and high-end clothing. The gifts may have defied national and international rules, including resolutions from the United Nations Security Council and U.S. law.
North Korea is not used to luxury items.
Rodman may have violated an American law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, as implemented by executive order, which President Obama signed in 2010, which makes it a violation of U.S. law for any person determined by the Treasury and State Departments to have directly or indirectly imported, exported, or re-exported luxury goods to or into North Korea. So Dennis Rodman may be in trouble with the federal government.
By the way, if you want a good read, Dennis the Wild Bull, written by Dennis Rodman, child's book. Read it.
What? No.
Yes, true story.
And finally, just because this is an homage to my old board op and good friend J.J. LaSalva, Bills hire ex-Lion head coach Jim Schwartz to run the defense. Open or don't open?
Don't open that.
Don't open. I get that headline.
Yeah, I got everything I needed in that whole headline right there. The Buffalo Bills are still going to be terrible.
Management's still awful.
So Richard Sherman fined by the NFL for taunting with his, choking sign against the San Francisco 49ers. Fined $7,875. Austin made a very good point earlier today when he asked, how does the NFL come up with these numbers?
Is it based on, I'm thinking it might be based on the words. Like how many words he said, and it's a certain amount of money per word.
Well, no, he was flagged for making a choking gesture. He didn't say anything. This is just for the choking gesture. I think they may have, like the ping pong balls in the hopper, and they just, 7, 8, 7, 5. Maybe it's $7,875 is our fine.
Maybe it's based on the length of the choking and the severity to his neck. Maybe it's based on that.
There's got to be some formula that's just absurd, or no formula at all.
Just fine him $7,000, $8,000, $10,000.
This sounds reasonable.
Sherman, after the choking symbol, ran over and tapped Crabtree on the backside and extended his hand for a handshake, which then led to Crabtree shoving Sherman in the face.
I got to think that he wasn't saying good game and that thing that ensued with a shove in the face.
Sherman was the only player fined in the game. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell had already shared his displeasure with Sherman's post-game rant. No, I'm not cheering for that, Goodell said on CBS this morning on Thursday, referring to comments Sherman made. He is such a great young man. He is extremely well-spoken, does great things off the field, obviously a great player on the field. I want him to present himself in the best possible way and make sure that he is reflecting on himself and his family in a positive way. Here's how you do that, Roger. Don't let some idiot blonde girl stick a microphone in his mouth a minute after he walks off a football field.
Wait a second.
Don't call Erin Andrews
Erin Andrews is not just an idiot blonde girl.
Are you
She's
kidding me?
She's a beautiful blonde girl.
Yeah, stop letting how good she looks get involved with this.
No, I'm not
Everybody's killing Richard Sherman. How about killing Erin Andrews for asking a dumb question
I feel bad
right off
for
the field?
No, Erin Andrews did her job.
So did Richard Sherman. He answered the question.
Okay, I'm not saying that Richard Sherman. I think you're entirely correct in the fact that you can't go up to Richard Sherman and expect him to be an angel.
By the way, it has nothing to do with idiot blonde girl. Idiot gray-haired guy that would be on the sideline doing the same thing.
Yeah, well.
Would get the same response, and I'd say idiot guy with a microphone.
Well, you can say idiot producer who told her to go get the interview.
Okay?
But
exactly. The thing is, if you don't want this kind of reaction, and if it doesn't make you happy, Roger Goodell, don't let the TV people dictate when they're going to do interviews. Oh, wait, you can't do that because without the TV people, you wouldn't have the money you have as the NFL. Tired of everybody's blaming Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman did exactly what any football player would do. He made a great play. A minute later, a microphone shoved in his face, says, what do you think about that play? And he said, I think he was a sorry receiver, and I did my job. Good for you, Richard Sherman.
And that he's the best.
And only other person you could put in this class is Darrelle Revis, who, by the way, has come out and said, I don't like what Richard Sherman said. I'm the best.
Yeah.
Well, who's playing a Super Bowl?
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Are you kidding me? It's spring training in less than 25 days. First pitch of spring training. So I go online to the Atlanta Braves website to see if I can get a couple tickets to a spring training game at Disney's Wild World of Sports. It's $30 for a game in spring training. Are you kidding me, Disney World? You want me to spend $95 to come in the park for one day? And then if I want to go watch a baseball game during that park visit, I still got to spend $30 more to go to the game? Are you kidding me? I'm not spending $30 to watch a bunch of kids that are going to be playing single A later in the year. Stop it. Are you kidding me? I'd like to thank my guest, Buddy Martin. Umatilla Steve. For Austin Tapman and Josh LaSalve, I'm Tom Schmidt saying, have a great weekend, everybody.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County